All right. Well, welcome, guys. We are
What's up? What's up?
appreciative
What's
you
up?
guys showing up. Before we get going, I had to take over, Mark, because on your birthday, I don't feel like you need to introduce anybody. So, Mark, happy birthday. I hope you're having a good one.
Uh,
You said you got up early, so that seems like a good deal already. So, hope you're having a
uh,
good day, bro.
I got up late, man. I got up late, but yeah,
Dude,
dude, good times.
what anything good you got planned for today? You getting out in a canoe at all or anything?
No, nothing exciting, man. Just
Good.
taking it easy. I like
It's the best way.
normal day as much as possible. So,
I
I
always require on my birthday that nothing be done out of the ordinary except for maybe a cake. I like it to be low key, super low key. And I know
yeah,
it makes my wife uncomfortable because she likes to spoil on birthdays, but I just like it low key.
yeah, dude. That's exactly how I am. Whatever. We'll keep it simple. What's up, Unc? Appreciate it, man.
Yes,
Um,
Unk.
so
Man, I'm pretty stoked, dude. I was just looking at some stuff for the Thunder and trying to get some of my thoughts together. But one of the things that somebody else said, and I don't remember what episode they said it on, they mentioned something about Kenny Hustle. Like his contract is an amazing contract to have. And I started thinking about it more in depth and kind of get an idea of what this team is built on. Like, how do you have a lasting impact on an organization, not just through like a small amount of time, but through like 10, 15, 20 years? How do you impact an organization like that? And it keeps going back to what the nickname for Kenny Williams is, and that's how you impact it. You think about Nick Collison and how he's impacted the Oklahoma City Thunder, through the entire time they've been, in Oklahoma City. And you say Kenny Hustle and Lou Dort, Jay Will, J.R. Reed, Keontae Johnson, the list can go, on there. These are the guys that lead the way. Aaron Wiggins, like they lead the way, man. They allow these other guys to fit into these roles, these superstar roles, and they do all the dirty work for them. And I think that's one of the things as this team is being has been built, and you're watching these guys all come in on these really nice contracts. It's going to be positive to see how Kenny Hustle impacts the organization for decades to come down the road. Because when you have a nickname like Kenny Hustle and you're known for hustling, right?
mhm.
Like that organization is going to use you as a pillar of an example of what you want to do and what you want to give out to the court at all times. And I love it, man.
Yeah, dude. I think that's a great place to start. You want to talk about hustle, and like you said, there's a reason he's earned that nickname. One thing I find really inspiring about his story is how often he was counted out, and I think that's something that a lot of the guys that we draft in the second round, and those are the guys that in the future of this team are going to have to be the hustle guys. And that comes
Bro,
down to the new CBA.
before you say anything more, Jared Butler, heart condition. Keontae Johnson died on the court, was revived, right?
All right.
I mean, these are the guys. Kenny Hustle had injury after injury at TCU, was like a walk on. Like, this is what I'm saying, like that's what you're saying.
Right.
This team is built by guys that are second chances and they'll do whatever it takes.
Right, and then you add the like you said the cultural impact of starting something special and then building into that, and all that really comes down to like not natural talent, and that's one of the things that they always base their game on. So I
Right?
look at it like exactly like you look at it. Like when we look back at like how this team transitioned into what it is, we'll always pay the most attention to the trades that brought in SGA or the pick that brought us Josh Giddey or well, I guess that was our own, but J Dub was the Clippers pick and things like that. Like as this goes down, that's going to be the focus. But really, those players who can become generationally impactful through like Nick Collison type effort. The thing that inspires me most about Kenny Hustle is like the times where I notice he just picks everybody up full court. Like and he doesn't just go do it himself, right? He tells
Yep.
everybody like, "Let's pick it up." And what he's trying to
But
do
how many
so
times do you
often,
hear him like say it though? It's a contact, like
right?
it's man, it's
It's
unexplainable what
about
he does.
it's about understanding like okay, this is like the flow of the game, and this is how we can do something a little bit different that interrupts the other team's flow, and then can give us a little extra momentum and a little push right at this moment. Very rarely I've ever seen it backfire
Hmm.
because the times that he picks it are always times where the other team is like anticipating being able to like drop a set and everything goes smoothly, and then all of a sudden they can't cross half court, until right around the 8-second mark, and it becomes okay, everything is out of the flow. And so it's like, yes, the hustle, but like knowing when to hustle, like I don't know, dude. Sometimes when like coach would always be like, dive on the ground for a loose ball. If you, so then you would like if you don't dive on the ground and there's a loose ball, you're getting benched.
Yeah.
So then you're like hypersensitive about diving. You're like, if I don't dive, I'm screwed. So you dive when there's not a loose ball. They call a foul. The ball, you lose possession. Things like that can happen when you're too hyped. So the intelligence behind it is really what makes it all work. It's not just pure hustle. And that's the thing about Nick Collison too. When you look back at his career, right? It's like, yeah, that was gritty play,
Yeah.
but in the end, it was intelligent gritty play that made him such a a beloved person in the community.
Well, and that's what it comes down to is that
What's
you
up,
can't be
Wayne?
unintelligent about your play out there on the hustle side if
Appreciate it.
if you want to stay around an organization for a while. Like hustle without meaning is the worst, man. We've coached, like what's up, Wayne? You guys out there that have coached, you guys all know who I'm talking about or played hoops for a while. There's always that one player that has all hustle and no game. Like I'm thinking of a young man named Will Harper for me.
No names, no
Oh
names,
no,
bro.
hey, I have to, man. This guy worked harder than anybody I've ever seen in my life, man. Ever on the basketball court, ever. You know, like he tried to learn how to shoot the ball for the life of him, could never figure it out. Like that's cool. He ended up being a high school basketball coach in the long run, and that's just the way sometimes it goes. Like you don't need to know necessarily all the aspects of being able to do, layups and, and shooting consistently to end up being a coach or end up being a student of the game. And I think that's one of the things that it's impressive to watch some of these guys out there as they're utilizing their brain on the hustle play instead of just running around, like Kenny Hustle. He gets beat by his guy, right? Going like his guy's cutting through the lane. He gets beat by him. Does he panic? No. What does he do? He goes over top of it, you
Hmm.
know? And why does he go over top of it? Because he knows he has help down low. He knows that he can do these things and he can gamble. He can try to sneak in there behind the center. Like he has this IQ. And then on offense, you throw in there the fact that he goes backdoor so much, man. He goes backdoor so much that he adds just four bucket a game, plus right there, because all the backdoor cuts that he does, or when his defender is helping out, he goes and cuts or gets to the corner, and he just sits there, ready to shoot. It doesn't take long. His release isn't a long release, so it's like bang bang. And I look at what Kenny Hustle can do and what he brings to the team, and then you see the impact that he has with Josh Giddey and you're like, holy shit. Like Josh Giddey year one, he was the cool cat, like he came in as a rookie and he had the hair, everybody's talking about him. And then all of a sudden, Kenny Hustle gets his fangs into him essentially and just is like, this is what we do. This is how we hustle. And Josh Giddey year two, it was all about hustle, man. Year two was impressive of Josh Giddey. And that's where I keep going back is that when all said and done is we have certain players that are going to be special. And you're going to look at them in the future and you're going to say, how did we get that player there? How did we get J Dub and Chet in the same draft? How did we get Josh Giddey at 6? How did we get Usman Jang at 11? Like every organization that wins a championship has those players, man. You don't not see those players in the organization through and through. You can go Denver, you can go Golden State, you can go Los Angeles Lakers, you can go pretty much any team and every team that you can think of that has won the championship in the last 20 years, and they are chock full of these hustle guys. Sometimes they're veterans, sometimes they're rookies, but they're just chock full of them.
Yeah, I feel like you
Sup,
want to
Wyatt,
draw.
James?
Yeah, what up, guys? James, why? How you guys doing, man? You want to you want to establish that culture, right?
Yeah,
And when we look back, it's going to be one of those things that we say like is the reason that we go on to win championships as much as anything else. It'll be the depth of role
some
players
money.
who stars in their roles.
Yeah,
And I think that's why for the long haul, like Kenny Hustle is going to have an impact because, like you mentioned, the backdoor cuts and how that helped open up Josh Giddey's game, and then we saw other people mimicking it and learning like timing and spacing and understanding like how to bring out the best in their teammate
yeah.
by watching his eyes and understanding the movement
Dude,
and
I'll be honest with you. The first time I saw the connection of the backdoor and Josh Giddey after his rookie year, was they were doing these workouts as a team, and they were videotaping some of them and putting them up online. And Josh Giddey like passes this ball to Kenny Hustle, and it was a kind of a loft pass over top, and the ball stopped because it got knocked out of balance. And I see Kenny go up to Josh, and he's explaining something, like, and he's using his hand motion and he's, getting into it, right? And I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen? And the very next time down, Kenny goes back door, and it was bounce pass right to him. And I was just like, that's what he was saying. That's the connection that he was saying. I need the ball right here. How many times have we, as players, as coaches, that we look at the player and like, you guys are not connecting properly, And then you go over and you're like, this is what I like. This is how I like the ball, because the point guard's job is to facilitate where the person that wants the ball gets the ball,
Right.
not where the point guard's like, oh no, I'm gonna throw the ball where I want to throw him. No, because then you're gonna get somebody that shoots like 0 for 17.
Right.
You put the ball where that person wants the ball, because then you can have a better shooting layups, whatever. So for me, I saw that and I was like, okay, that's going to be special. And then I saw that connection with Aaron Wiggins and Josh Giddey, and then I started seeing Lou Dort do it. And then I was just like, oh man, see, I didn't see that as much as I did last year, but now that this is something that's actually proven to work so well, Kenny Hustle's like, guys, everybody needs to do this with Josh. It's so easy. Because it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah, and you show people the way. Teach a man how to fish, right? And then all of a sudden, like, you're gonna have that impact. And it's been huge to watch guys like Aaron Wiggins figure out the same things. Like you mentioned, Lou Dort figuring it out. That impact goes down the line. I think when you look at an organization like the Thunder, the organizations I'm aware of that have retired role players numbers, and the Grizzlies did it with Tony Allen, like the grit and grind Grizzlies. I think I got a lot of respect for what they did, even though I hated cheering against them. And then Nick Collison got his number retired. And I think that there is a track for certain teams where if you can be that guy,
Sure.
and you can have an impact on not just like the players that you're around, but the future generations. Because you look at the Grizzlies and they are still talking about grit and grind like it represents that city this
Exactly.
even right now.
Exactly.
And I think that's like what we're looking at for Kenny Hustle. Like there is a pathway and there is a world in which he gets his number retired as a Thunder player. And there's also a world in which a number of the guys that are our favorite players on the team right now don't.
Yeah.
And he does.
Yeah.
Because we saw the same thing happen with Nick Collison. Like there were a bunch of guys that were our favorite guys on the team, and we thought they were locks to get their number retired. And now it's a big question mark. And I think the only sure thing about Thunder number retired is Russ. After that, like, will KD get his number retired? I hope so, but I think I'm in the minority. I think most people don't hope he gets his number retired. I don't know though. I think in the future things are gonna be better though. I'm not worried about that.
I look at getting your number retired, in my opinion, is that it comes during the time, but also comes afterwards. Like Nick Colson's impact didn't stop the second he stopped playing in Oklahoma City. You know what I'm saying? Like his impact continued. And I look at somebody like Kenny Hustle, and who's putting his roots down in Oklahoma City. And I gotta say is like that's what you want. Like that's who you want as a coach. I look at Cameron Woods, played in the system a little bit, end up coming back and coaching. Like this is what we want. We want people to not just believe in the system and the organization. We want people to buy in and give their lives for it. And you say, well, that's cult like. Well, I get it. I understand. Right? But guess what? We're trying to win championships. We're not trying to be like the Minnesota Timberwolves right now. Like we're just not. So for us, in order to be us to be able to do that, it's about that. It's about standing up and saying we want to be different. So how do we be different? Well, we create an organization where it creates a job for the players afterwards that don't get paid the big time bucks, that can go into the coaching, that can go into the GM spots, that can go do all that stuff. Because that again creates a family atmosphere. It creates a place where people are coming and saying, I'm not going anywhere. The Thunder are going to offer me $27 million for 4 years, or 5 years, or 3 years. But another place is going to offer me 33, but I know I'm going to make $10, $15 million in retirement with the Thunder if I stay here. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Yeah, Mwani. Nick Collison has some role in the front office where he interacts with
Special advisor to Sam Presti and not Rosen. Is it Rosen? GM, the new assistant GM from
Man,
Philly.
Wayne, there were so many good inbound passes by
Bro,
Josh this year.
I'll be honest with you. All right, Glenn Azubuike. We were playing against. I think it was Glenn Azubuike. We were playing against Golden State, and Glenn Azubuike was on the mic
Former
talking
Tulsa
about
player. Yep.
everything in the way the passes were. And I'm like 99% sure he said something along the lines of um, Josh Giddey is the best inbounds passer he's seen in the last 20 years. All right. I mean, Clint Azubuike didn't have a very long career in the game,
But he was
but he's been a
stating it for a
student of the
while.
game for a long time, and that's where it comes back to me is like anytime that I hear somebody that's been a student of the game for 20, 30 plus years and played in the NBA, that's where I'm like, okay, like if they think that Josh Giddey is one of the best passers, inbounds passers that they've seen in the last 20 years,
Devin.
then guess what? I don't care how long Josh has been in the league for, 1, 2, 3 years. It doesn't matter. He's one of the best passers that ever have passed the ball in balance. And that's that. I mean, like people can say, oh, Dave, stop it. If you want to say that in the last 20 years that he's one of the best passers in the last 20 years, the inbounds pass wasn't something that people considered a guaranteed score, right? Until about 20 years ago when they started doing like boxes and, Bison and all these other inbounds places that we learned, right? But it took time to get to that point. Now, all of a sudden, we have somebody that you don't even need to draw up. All you need is something is like, what, a 3.5-inch space? That's all Josh needs. It's like 3.5 inches. Boom, I got you. That's nothing for me. I can put a ball right in there. Nothing like I've ever seen anybody throw a pass in balance as good as Josh or as accurate as Josh. Is the fact is, we've seen him throw the ball around or away a few times, but I can't count how many times we've seen an incredible inbounds play from Josh. Like incredible, where it's like, oh man, top 10, ESPN. I mean, he's done it so many times, it's ridiculous.
Well, all we got to do now to piss everybody off is start comparing him to Magic Johnson again.
Dude, I think it's
Easiest thing in
funny.
the world, baby.
I think it's funny. Like if you take, I'm only going to say this about that. All right. If you take 6'9" point guards in the league, 6'9" point guards in the league, you're going to get 6 of them, 7 of them. All right. And then on top of that, the ones that can pass the ball as good as Josh Giddey and Magic Johnson, there's 2 of them. Okay. So anybody that wants to say, no, you cannot compare an all-time great to a kid that's only played in 2 seasons of the NBA. And my point about that is that like I will stand by this is that if you look at the way a 6'9" point guard passes the ball, there's 2 in the league history that can pass it as easily and as well at 6'9" point guards. And those 2 point guards are Magic and Giddey. So, and that's not just us talking. That's
I know,
not
and
us
then
blowing up the smoke.
people are like,
That's
yeah, but
a lot
Magic
more
had
people.
different things. Magic could do different things, and
We're not talking about anything else. We're talking about passing.
All right, it's fun. It's fun to go through it, man. What's up, Tanner? T, what's going on, man? I definitely enjoy the conversation because, of course, the next Magic Johnson won't come from the same places, won't act exactly like there's no way you get another Magic, right?
Ever.
But what you can get is somebody who you look at his game and you say that person reminds me of him. The same way
And
you'll
listen,
never get another Pistol Pete. You'll never get a Michael Jordan, but you'll say, look at this game this way. This element of this person's game reminds me of this person.
if you had a Steve Nash was 6'9" or Jason Kidd was 6'9", or I mean, you could go down the list of these guys that were incredible point guards. If they were 6'9", people would have been like, "Ooh, that guy passes the ball like Magic," because they're incredible passers already. But that's our whole point. It's it's not necessarily about the longevity of Magic's career and the longevity of Josh's career versus how many points per game versus how many assists per game versus how many rebounds. No, we're just making the statement is that there's very few point guards that could play point guard position on offense and go down and play defensive center position. And we watched Josh play the middle of the center position a lot last year and small ball. So again, Magic did the same thing. He played the center position his rookie year a few times, finals. So like this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the way this team has been built, and it's something that it's been beautiful. I look at Rondo, right, and I'm like, in order for the Celtics to win, right, they needed Rondo. He made everything possible. And I look at Josh Giddey, and eventually when we're in that position of winning a championship and competing for championship, it's going to be Josh Giddey that's going to be the one that has some insane game where he has like 14 points and like 28 assists and like 14 rebounds and like what I'm saying? And everybody's going to be like, what the hell just happened? It's going to be because Josh has learned where to pass the ball perfectly everywhere to who he needs to pass it when they want the ball. And it's just filling in the blanks with the right players to be able to finish.
Yeah, I like what Wayne's saying. Like, they attack Giddy early on the dribble, and then they kind of like create a situation where it's difficult for his vision to be at his full strength. I think
Exactly.
it's really fascinating sometimes when he gets the ball attacked early and he goes into kind of like what I call a crab dribble, or where
Yeah.
he kind of blocks everybody out using his ass and his legs, and then he recovers the dribble and then starts going again. Um, there's a skill to that. It
Yep.
reminds me a little bit of what I've seen kind of in AFL. This your body without fouling, like to pivot around the ball, recover your dribble, and then
That's it, man.
attack. It's a fascinating thing, but I think there's an opportunity there also for improvement, because
Yep.
if you can get that dribble lower first, right out of the box, right, low dribble, and then you're attacking up. That's going to become a strength of his. I can tell like his work, like going into playing for the Boomers this summer, this is the hardest he's ever worked in the
Oh
offseason.
yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
guarantee that. Like he
Oh yeah.
thought he worked hard going into the draft, but this offseason he has something to prove on a national scale and at the highest level, and something he's been preparing really his whole life for. I mean, I have no doubt we're going to see a different level of player when he comes back.
Well, let's just be honest. Year one is a mulligan, right? Every rookie should get 1 year. First year is your mulligan. All right. Second year, you got to prove what you can do, not on a consistent level, but you can prove what you can do, right? It's your third year that really pays it all off, and because of this, we're gonna watch Josh be dominating. I think J Dub is way more advanced than people realize he is. He's gonna be dominating. I think Dort's got a whole new level. I think Shea's on a whole new level. And adding Chet to that starting lineup, man, I don't know. I just don't know. Like people say this or that about the Thunder, but like I'm okay with saying that this Thunder team is going to surprise the fuck out of everybody. And I want this to be said too, is that that's the first time I've said the F word in 2 episodes.
Really?
Yeah, I
Shut
know.
up,
And I
Bob,
just,
dude.
I
Shut up,
know. But
Bob.
Bob, last episode that we put out there, he's like, that's more like it. Right. So it got to my head. I was like, why didn't I say fuck last episode? So, anyways, there we go. I said it. Fuckity fuck fuck fuck. Now, Bob, suck on those apples.
Is Bob still there, Dave?
I don't know, man. I hope he is.
Damn. I noticed
I
he said
appreciate
something.
you,
I was
T
like,
man. I appreciate you, buddy.
I don't know, dude. I'm not worried about Bob. I've never worried about Bob before. Um,
Listen, I don't want to start saying it. I don't. And the reason I don't want to start saying it is because injuries. They dictate every season. But if the Thunder go 100% without any single injury on the team, which major injury on the team, like the players, then I do think that we could be talking about a Western Conference Finals situation. And if we're in a Western Conference Finals situation, right, anything's possible, man. Like anything. We're contending for a championship that year if we're in the Western Conference Finals. And listen, there's a lot of really good teams in the West, but a lot of these really good teams in the West are what? They got all one thing in common. They're all old as shit, man. Like you all know, you guys play with Legos. I played with Legos too. You take a set of Legos and you put them out in the sun for like, I don't know, 2-3 weeks, and they got rain and all this other stuff. You pick up the Legos and you just do what? And they break, right? I'm telling you guys, this is going to be the season where all these old ass dudes are just going to be like falling out of the sky and being like, well, my career's over now. My career's over, And I think that because of that, these teams that are like the Los Angeles Clippers or the Lakers or, Golden State, they're all one injury away from, being a position they're like, I want to tank, like we have nothing else to go for. We're just going to tank. So again, I think because of that, there's a really good situation that the Oklahoma City Thunder could be putting in a spot where there could be like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 teams that are being like, fuck, I don't want to make the playoffs this year. This is the last year I get my pick. I don't want to make the playoffs.
I mean, I could see us in a situation where we get a favorable bracket, right? 55 wins, and we find ourselves in a spot where, who knows, we could find ourselves in the conference finals. I think more than likely we find ourselves up against a really good team like Denver in the second round, and we find ourselves against a team that just has way more. They exploit the experience and they put us in a spot where, like, maybe we're the better team, even though I don't think that would be the consensus. But maybe we have like a chance to be better in the next year.
Yep.
But just pure experience and old man strength, and us not understanding the gravity of our opportunity. But then on the flip side of it, if you did find yourself in the conference finals, right, and you had a coach like Coach Dagnall who understood, like, you think we'll be back here next year. Everybody can assume we'll be back here next year because
Bro,
we're
it's
young.
the injury. Like
But
that's what it comes down to. It's like how much is it going to take us out of us to go deep in a playoff run, being a young team?
right, but if
What's
you could
worth it?
find a way to generally stay healthy, or overall have enough depth to overcome the lack of health,
That's it. 12, 15 guys, man. That's why it's so important. Like
and you
any
were
way you want to
accelerating
put it.
into the conference finals, right, and you could find a way to somehow get up a couple of games where before anybody knew it, and all of a sudden you're playing with, like, you're everybody's assuming you're Cinderella, and when is the clock gonna strike midnight? But you have a leader like SGA who has an international experience, who has, playoff experience in different situations, Game 7 experience, and he's
Bro,
not afraid of the moment, right?
it's the one thing that teams don't have that they wish they have. It's the desire to win at all cost. Like I watch these guys play. I watch how Kenny, puts that motor in there. I watch how all these guys are reacting, right, towards putting everything into it, man. Like it's a whole new level with this Oklahoma City Thunder team, bro. It's not only just believing it, it's living it, it's understanding it. It's saying we are going to be champions one day. That's what they're all saying. It's not like, oh yeah, if we win a championship. It's like when we win a championship. Okay? That's different, man. That's setting your expectations. That's proving to everybody. When we all said that when we said and our fans said we thought that Shea could go and score 30 points a game last season. People fucking laughed at us. People fucking laughed. They said that Shea will not have that big of a jump. He cannot have that big of a jump. He just won't. We're saying that could happen with every single one of these players. That type of jump could happen, and all of a sudden we're sitting in this position that there's been so much growth in this team that it literally is making other teams sit back and say, we don't have a potential to beat this Oklahoma City Thunder team. Teams that are designed like the Los Angeles Clippers and that are so top heavy and put all their money into, 4 spots. What do they got, man? They got 4 really high-end players and then a bench that's kind of shady. Unless they want to go and spend $150 million into salary caps. So again, we're coming back in a situation where, like, we've never seen a team that's capable of doing what the Oklahoma City Thunder are doing this season. We've never seen a team. Not this young, not this ready, not with a superstar, not with somebody like Chet, not with somebody like Dort, not with somebody like Josh Giddey, not somebody like, J-Dub and Isaiah Joe and J. Will, JR. The list goes on, guys. Like there has never been a team that's been assembled this quickly, ready to go. And that's why I think that, you said something about expectations for this team. At what point does the expectations start coming out saying this team deserves to go here and they're a Cinderella team? Listen, that's expectation is going to start happening soon. It's going to happen soon. Why? Because we're about to watch the FIBA, and Shea's going to go off, and Dort's going to go off, and these other guys are going to show Josh Giddey's going to show his talent. Everybody's going to start whispering, maybe this team's better than we've ever thought. You know, all the Oklahoma City Thunder podcasts that are fucking doubters out there, they're gonna be saying maybe that Oklahoma City Thunder team's for real. Because guess what, guys? We all know it, man. You can't put a team like this together, a young team like this that's hungry like this, and you can't hold them back. You can't. You got to let them go. You know, you got to let them be the thoroughbreds that they are and just go, 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 go. And that's this year, bro. That is this year, man. 100%, man.
What's up, Unc? Thank you, brother. Cannot
Yes.
wait.
We're doing that, I think, Monday or Tuesday. Unc, we're starting that.
Yeah, we're gonna get it next week.
We're
Is
going to
our
do
time.
a dry run. And then after that, we'll be ready.
As far as like watching this progression goes, right? Let's just say we found a spot where the favorable bracket included things like the other side beating up at each other so much that when we did face it, we're accelerating, it's just limping into the conference finals. And just imagine we ran into the finals.
Bro,
Just I
we
know
could
we
be the
shouldn't.
eighth
I know
seed
we
next year,
shouldn't.
bro. This year, we could be the eighth seed and we can make the finals.
Just imagine we get to the finals somehow, right? Some magical way. What Eastern Conference matchup do you think that we would have an opportunity to win? Do you think there is any that would be possible?
I've said it for a long time. The East is weak. All right, the East is weak. You know, like I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it in any other way. Um, yes, I do think that we'd have a hard time against the Celtics, but if we got into the 7-game series with the Celtics, I think we win in Game 6. I think that the Miami Heat would give us I think it would be like, I don't know, 4-1, 5-game series against Miami. Like,
Yeah.
listen, like there's just not a team in the East. If we beat every team in the West, there would not be a team in the East that would be able to match up with the way that we could play against them. Just not. The West is where it's at. We win the West, we walk in and grab that championship and fucking spike it in the middle of the court.
I mean, I get why, and look, I'm apprehensive too, but I understand why so many people are apprehensive to think that this team's time might be sooner than later. But one of the things that I really feel like is a lot of people think the next progression is failure in the like first or second round of the playoffs. Like you have to go through that experience with a young team before you move forward.
Yeah.
But if you look at Shea, he's already had that time with the Clippers where he had a game 7. He had a time with the Thunder where he had a game 7. Dort was there, and then because of that, what we saw from the Minnesota game after
Yeah.
the Pelicans game, I thought we really handled the Pelicans.
Yeah.
Minnesota decided like our best chance to win is to bully them. And they came out and they whooped Shea. Like they put him in a spot where he looked physically
Well,
like he had a chipped tooth, he had a black eye.
Bro.
He was just completely in terrible shape. And you know what? They couldn't keep him down. He was back in there. He couldn't even really see. And he was playing. And I think those types of experiences used to only be reserved for second round failures. If we already have those in our pocket as a team and we can look at it and we know that we can trust each other in a foxhole situation and we have the camaraderie, then the number one thing this team is always going to emphasize is they don't want people to talk about them like they're a young team. They want to be known as a great team, not a great young team. They want to be known as a great team. And if they get to that point, like they're a wild card. And if you have a team that's elite talent-wise, but they don't know their own limitations because they just haven't gone through 10 years of NBA failures.
Sure.
Like anything is possible.
Sure.
And watch the fuck out.
Well, and I want to say this to Mawani. You gotta have playoff experience and losses before the title scenario. And this is, I mean, Golden State Warriors, man. You know, like, I mean, we could talk about anything you want, but the Golden State Warriors, they didn't lose it, did they?
I mean, their losses were injury based. They weren't really situations. I think it was like the first really full strength year they made that title run.
I mean, we could go back to, I mean, I don't know, man.
I just feel like the players have the experiences, even though they don't get credit for them.
Yeah, and I think that's why FIBA and Olympics is more important than ever. You know, like because I feel like these are the scenarios that you're putting yourself in for the heartbreak before heartbreak, you know? Like, I mean, it's one thing to let down your city, it's a whole new thing to let down your country. And I think that's a lot more, I mean, at that very moment, that's a lot more pressure than playing in your city for 82 games. You got 7, 8 games, 10 games in the FIBA, like boom, boom, boom. You don't play well, you're out. That sucks, man. I could have gave our country a few more $1 million to be able to, but I mean, to me, like that's why this is important at this moment. Like these guys are getting that experience by playing in the for their countries. Enjoy it, watch it,
Enjoy it.
because I think that could help make it so that when we look back at it and say, how did the Thunder go from barely making the playoffs to this position? Well, it's because professional habits taught in such a way that people buy in. They buy in that cult-like experience of like, you know what, I'm going to do whatever it takes for this team to win, no matter what. And then it comes to contracts, and people are like, you know what, you need to take $5 million less. Well, cool. I'm not going to spend that at the strip club, so it's fine. I don't need that $5 million. You know what I'm saying? I want to be on this team for longer. And I think that's the thing about understanding each of the personalities and understanding how to build a team properly this time. You can draft all the best players in the world you want, but if they don't know what it is to be loyal because they've never been taught to be loyal, it's not their fault that they decide to go to Golden State when they leave. It's your fault because you didn't take time to teach what loyalty means. And that is that. Like Sam Presti knows that as much as I do. Now, what did he do? He created an atmosphere for these guys to be able to be taught professional habits. And we've seen what happens when Shea does it right. So then Shea's like, guys, I did it right. You guys can be just like me. I did it right. Okay, so now you've got your God. Everybody follows him and says, if Shea did it right, I could do it. Now J-Dub's all I'm believing in. Now J-Dub takes a bigger step than anybody thought he would. Chet believes in because this is his second year with the Oklahoma City Thunder organization. He takes a huge step. Josh Giddey's like, oh yeah, I can taste the blood, motherfuckers. Guess what? And you say we need playoff experience in order to get to the promised land. Sure, I agree with that. But what you need is hungry people more than you need that. And if you have hungry people, I promise you guys, I think that there's something special could happen this year.
Well, I believe it. I think so many of these players have the chance to be some of the greatest players ever at their positions, and I think, and as a team, they have commitments to be better teammates than they are individual stars. And when you have that commitment on a team-wide scale throughout the entire organization, like I think it's just time to say like, there's no way to emphasize this enough. Like we shouldn't have any expectations on this team because just enjoy every minute of it. Like it's going to come, the season will come to an end before we get a championship. That's a fair assessment, right? But I feel like this is the last season where we'll assume that that's the case going into it.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if we just do injury-free season, major injury-free season, and we do mathematicians, guys, there we go, and we start counting, right? And we're like, can we get 10 more wins than we did last year? Can we get 12? Can we get 14?
Appreciate you, Unc.
Can we get 16? You know what I'm saying? That's what we got to sit there, is because at what point can we say, no, that's too many wins. We can't expect that. But the reality is that the fact that we're trying to say is that instead of getting caught up in those games, like we have so many times, is we're just going to try to enjoy the season. Do what Sam Presti does, is have no expectations. And when the season starts, let the season dictate the expectations that are happening. You know?
Enjoy it.
Just enjoy it.
Enjoy the whole ride, dude. We hope that you guys will be there for us throughout this whole thing because that's what it's all about, man.
Appreciate you guys, Wayne.
We knew it was going to take some time,
guys.
But we're about to see the best. Tanner.
All right, guys. We'll see you
we
tomorrow.
love you guys. See you soon.